नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सभी का वारकू शो के स्कूल बैग सीरीज़ के इस एपिसोड में स्वागत है। तो आज हम आप लोगों को लेकर आए हैं बेंगलुरु के विधान सौधा में। तो आइए चल के लोकतंत्र की इस प्रतिमा को देखते हैं और इसके बारे में मैं आपको वीडियो के दौरान ही बताऊंगी।
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. So I'm Gladys, a local Bangalorean from Bangalore. So today I'm going to be your guide for this walking tour of Vidhan Soudha. So before we get into the entire tour, I just want to ask if this is all of you first time visiting Vidhan Soudha, or some of you guys have already been here, or how is it?
First time.
Second time? Okay. So for the first time people who've been here, how do you feel? Excited? Okay. So cool. So before we begin, just few ground rules. So there are like 15 stops. So this is gonna happen on a duration of 90 minutes. But it also depends on the kind of the pace that we are going to. So there are certain places where pictures are allowed, and there are certain places where pictures aren't allowed. And I will let you know about it before. For every stop, I'll allow like around 2 minutes where you can click pictures, and after that we have to keep moving because there are again other set of batches that keeps happening. And for the bio break, the washroom is on the third stop, so I will let you guys know about it. But if in case you want to use the washroom somewhere in the middle, please let me know so I can ask the guard to go with you, because there is a certain pathway that we will be following. So like not every area is like acceptable or accessible to us, so there's like certain areas which is restricted. So the reason why we are starting off here, so we all know that India was under the colonial rule. So we were under the British rule for almost 150 years. And then we also, before the British, we had lots of empires which ruled over here in India. And it also showed that India, where it was more of there was just one person, the people did not have any say in the lawmaking. It was just one way. And then came in the democracy, and then came in the constitution, when it all lead after we gained independence. And we gained independence in the year 1947. Yes, yeah. So that's the reason as to why before we enter into the main building, we're starting it off from here. So now again, when you look into independence, constitution, the one thing that rings in your mind is democracy. Now, what is democracy? So democracy is one man, one vote, or it's like what we all say: for the people, by the people, and to the people. Now again, going back to your history and civic class, back to your school time. Constitution, yes, but we're talking about like the ancient times. So democracy, the word comes in from the Greek time, which is in Athens, where it comes from two words, which is demos and kratos. Demos is for people, and kratos means rulers. So that's how the word democracy came in. And this one, the statue of Mahatma Gandhi that you see, was put in 2014. And along with Mahatma Gandhi, you also have some of the very popular freedom fighters that fought for our independence. So this is the representation which is being put away. And all of this starts from an inscription which is called the Begur, which people say that they found it in the 5th century. Technically, there was a war which was fought on that land, and that's how that name Begur came into picture. But then later on, there's a very famous legend that goes. So in India, we had lots of kingdoms, dynasties, and that one popular king, his name is called Veera. So this man, he went on a hunting expedition. Because back in the time, the kings used to love hunting. So now when this man was hunting, he lost his way in the jungle. And so back in the time when kings used to go on hunting, they used to wear common attires. Because you've seen how Indian kings loved adorning themselves with lots of jewelry, high robes. They could not go hunting with that. They would end up like either being robbed it's not possible to even hunt. Now when this man was hunting, he lost his way in the jungle. Trying to figure his way out is when he spots an old woman just sitting under a tree, and she's having some boiled beans. Now this woman also sees this young man wandering around, so she just calls him over and offers him some boiled beans. Now this guy is very pleased with the hospitality that this woman offered to him, because he's a random stranger. So that's how he ends up naming that piece of land as Bendakaluru, which basically translates to Benda means boiled, Kalu means beans, and Uru means town. So you can see how people always address Bangalore as the boiled bean town or the bean town. Even Winston Churchill would call us as the bean town. So that's how the name Bendakaluru came in. But the twist was that when the British came here, they could not pronounce Bendakaluru or Bengaluru. That's how we ended up getting the English name, which is Bangalore. But we also have the modern founder, who is Kempe Gowda. which all comes in 15th century, where he had a vision from the gods, from the Hindus, that he actually wanted to build a city. He wanted to build a market. He wanted to build a reservoir, and that's how he first ended up putting the Bangalore fort, which was the first fort along with the Petes, and that's how it came in 1537. So that's why you see we call Kempegowda as the modern founder of Bengaluru. So that's how the entire thing came into picture. So we had our first chief minister. So we all know that the current state, which is called Karnataka, before it was called the Mysore representative state. Yes, yeah. So for the first chief minister of the Mysore representative state was K.C. Reddy. So this man in 1948, he actually proposed, like he had a plan that he wanted to build a building which is more of American and European style. So because the initial legislative assembly or all the meetings, it all took place in the Atara Kacheri, which is a colonial building which was built by the British, right, which is right opposite to us. So now we had our second chief minister, who was Kengal Hanumantaya. So now Kengal Hanumantaya, when he was serving as a chief minister, there were two Russian delegates who visited Bangalore. So Kengal was their host. He took them around. He showed them Bangalore. So and then he showed them all of Bangalore. They really loved the visit. And then once the visit was over, they told Kengal, "You showed me your city. Good weather, good things, everything good." And then and he was like, "But then all the buildings that you showed me were more of American and European style. I do not see any building which shows your culture, your heritage. I don't see anything of that." So now this kind of like, it kind of like offended Kengal, like he was hurt because, makes sense. I'm showing my very own city to the person who's coming to visit over here, and I don't have anything of my own to showcase. There's no identity or landmark to Bangalore or to Mysore to be shown to people. So that's when Kengal came up with this idea of the vision of how Vidhan Soudha was put in. So now the initial place where they chose to put this building by when K.C. Reddy proposed it was on the parade ground. So he was like, let's not take parade ground, let's place it on a higher ground. So that's when we had two important people who came into picture. One was Kumrigal. So he is a German horticulturist. He was also the same person who designed Lal Bagh and also the famous Kabil Park. And also we had Sir M. Vishweshwaraya. So these both pitched in and then they argued saying that, no, you can actually place it on a higher ground. So now when we are walking inside, you can actually see that when you are inside, the Vidhan Soudha is, when you look it from there, when you see the Atara Kacheri, it all looks down on the colony. So it just shows that we have gained independence and then we are free. So this is the building now that stands and it looks on the past presence what we have over here. And now this one, the construction of this building took place in 1952 and it was ended in 1956. So it took them a whole of 4 years. So the foundation stone was laid by Jawaharlal Nehru, who was our first Prime Minister. So he was hosted again by Kengal, and this took place in July of 13th in the year 1951. So that's how the foundation stone was inaugurated here. There was also a dog which was sitting over here. Yeah. Did you guys really wonder, like, why are you spotting dogs in Vidhan Soudha? Like, and there were like lots of dogs when we were walking by. Yes, yeah. Any guesses? Yeah, those are stray dogs. Okay, yes. No worries. So, okay, can you guess the number of dogs that we have over here inside the building? Okay, so we have 53 stray dogs who live inside Vidhan Soudha. So Vidhan Soudha is their house. So now as to how this thing came up, so when the curators who were curating the store, so they had this doubt, why are this like stray dogs? We see them outside, but how come inside this building? And then, so when they were having this discussion and then they were having this talk, so we had the speaker, this UT Kadir. So he gave them a story saying that, there were lots of debates which were going on as to should we keep these dogs or should we not keep them? Because, and then the result of it came was that you can house dogs only, you cannot keep them for two reasons. One is if they're life threatening and one if they have a terminally ill.
So and then they found out that these dogs are none of it, that the BBMP conducted a survey, went around, checked for all of the dogs, and they found out that there were 53 dogs. And then after having a discussion with everyone, they came up with this conclusion saying that these dogs will be housed inside Vidhan Soudha, and they will also be sheltered, food will be given to them, vaccination, everything is done, and that's how these dogs are over here. But these are also the last set of dogs that you will see in Vidhan Soudha. Once they pass away, there's no other dogs that you will find. So yeah, so that's how these dogs are being. So again, another beautiful example of how the governance is not just for people; it can also be for animals like them. You can see right above. This is the dome. So that's the dome. What you see from outside. So this dome, what you see right now, it's 150 feet in height. But then initially, when they were constructing this dome, they planned it to put it on 180 feet. But then the dome actually collapsed and it broke down. So then they're like, we need to build a little smaller version of it. And that's how we have this current dome. So the current dome, the inspiration was actually taken from Capitol Hill, from Washington, D.C. But then Kengel comes and says that, no, let's not take any influence from outside of India. Let's stick to Indian architecture and influence. And that's how the current dome, it's from the Deccanese style or the Chola style. So I don't know has anybody of you guys visited the Brihadeshwara temple? So, yeah, in Tanjore, yes. So this dome, it is very similar to that dome, yeah. So they got the inspiration from the Brihadeshwara temple. So now the chief engineer architect for this entire building was B.R. Manikyam. So he was the one who looked after this. For the dome installation, it was actually done by a person named Siddhalinga Swami Stapati. And unfortunately, he passed away. He could not complete this. So this was taken over by his son. And right up on the dome, if you look from outside, we have the 4 Asiatic lions, which is our national emblem. There's also an observatory. So when we are in the further stops, you can actually see the observatory. And now this is also the spot from here where you can actually see the High Court, which is the building which was built by the British. So now how this entire thing is lined up is that, so you have the door right behind. So this is where your legislative assembly is being placed. So now right in the middle you have the speaker's chair where the speakers sit. So you have the speaker's chair and then you have the Atara Kacheri. After the Atara Kacheri you have Mark Cubbon's statue. After Mark Cubbon's statue you have Sankey's urn, which was the urn which was gifted by Sankey. And after Sankey's urn comes the government museum. So if you look into the map, everything is on one straight line. Again, we don't know why it's been placed on the straight line, but if you also see it in the form of the past and the present, so you can see how this entire thing is looking down on the colonial past that we have. So that's how it's been constructed. So from here now we will be visiting the Legislative Assembly, where we'll be entering it to the visitors gallery. So over there your phones, your bags, water bottles, nothing is allowed. You can carry your wallet, but other than that you'll have to place everything outside. There's a table and the guard, he's gonna stand over there. So once we come out you guys can take it, but inside nothing is allowed. So you see the building right opposite. So it's called the Vikas Soudha, where we address it more like the mini Vidhan Soudha. So you have the bigger building and then you have the mini version of it. So now I'm going to tell you how much they actually spent to build this building. So initial proposal which was put by K.C. Reddy, his budget was 33 lakhs, Indian rupees 33 lakhs. Now when Kengil Hanumantaya came into the picture, the budget rose to 1.80 crores. So you see the jump in the budget. So this was for 1952. Now, can you guess what was the budget to build this building, which was constructed in the year 2005? Yeah. So the budget was 150 crores. Very close. So it was 150 crores. So you can see it's a smaller replica of what we have. And so this was actually built because they had lots of offices in this building, but then they wanted to build more. Like they could not accommodate more people. So and that's how this smaller mini version was built. And now this Vikas Soudha actually has one of the largest murals in Karnataka. So that is what you can see over here. So all the so it's made of like bronze. So the things that you see, so this was actually done by a graduate from Chitrakala Parishad. So his name is called Shiv Kumar. He, along with other 23 different artisans, worked on it. And we have lots of mini Vidhan Soudhas here in Karnataka. So we have like around 60 plus mini Vidhan Soudhas, and people felt that mini Vidhan Soudha is more English. So they call it as the Taluk Adalata Soudhas. Yeah. And we have another very popular Soudha, which is the Suvarna Vidhan Soudha, which is in Belgavi. So that is where the winter session takes place. So it does not take place here, it takes place over there. So that's how all of this was put. And now right beside the Vikas Soudha, you have a Aralikatte, which is the people tree. So there is a temple beneath. So it is called the Muneshwara temple. So now everybody walked in through the corridors. So did you guys feel something when you were walking through the corridors? So the term that I was looking for is when you were walking by the corridors, you could see that there were offices, but you were more of power. So, all of them were high offices which was being placed over there. So the term that is called as corridors of power. So that's the corridors that we were walking by. So now this corridors of power was actually termed by a British novelist. His name is called C.P. Snow. So he was the one who termed these corridors of power, and so it's again the relevance that we have over here, which you can see. And also apart from this, you see this huge building. So we have lots of parties. We have the ruling party, we have the opposition party. So this is not a building only where the ruling party can come, only where the opposition party can come. It is a shared space for all of the parties. So you have the ruling party offices, you have the opposition party offices, and you also have offices of other parties. So that's how it's been built. And also the entire building is cut into like the northern wing, the southern wing, and the central wing. So the places that we all visited was in the central wing. And right up in the top on the third floor is where you also have the chief minister's room. And now again everybody had this question as to from where does our chief minister or the members enter the legislative assembly. So over here right there we have, it is called the Mysuru Bagilu, which is called the Mysore door. So you can actually see it. Okay, so very simple. So have you guys visited the Mysore Palace? The Darbar Hall has the same kind of the door. So again made of rosewood, the wood that is used for the door, and that's why we call it as the Mysuru Bagilu. And this is a very recent installation. It was put in 2024. So for the past 64 years, they had those kind of jalis where we had the members entering. So this is a very recent installation. So from now on, so where the people, they come in there and they enter in through here and then they get in. And once you get in from here, it's divided. So you have right and you have left. And behind this door, you will have pictures of where our previous legislative assemblies were. So because Mysore was the state, so we had the legislative assembly first, it was in the district hall, and from there it moved to the Jagan Mohan Palace. And then from the Jagan Mohan Palace, it moved to a place called the Crawford Hall, and from there it came to Bangalore. And in Bangalore, it was first in Town Hall, then it moved to the Atara Kacheri, and then it was over here in this building. So the first assembly was somewhere after it inaugurated, that was in the year 1956. So again, you can see beautiful carvation on the doors, and you also have the Ganda Berunda, which is the two-headed mythological creature. This was seen in our initial state symbol of Mysore, but now there's not any symbolic meaning behind this. It's just that these two birds, one of them stands for justice and the other one stands for vigilance. So you know how these birds work. So when one is sleeping, the other one is awake. And when the other is sleeping, the other one is awake. So that's the thing. Okay, so now you see this person right behind us. So he is none other than Kengil Hanumantaya. So you've been hearing his name, Kengil, 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 from the time when we started. So now it's a story about him. So Kengil was born in 1908 in a village called Lakkapanahalli. So it's very closer to Ramnagar, which is on the way to Mysore. So this man was born to a family which had no prior political background.
His parents were farmers. So, and this man was actually born to a very poor family, and the name Hanumantaya, what was given to him. So his parents were wanting a kid from a very long time, and they went and prayed to the deity, that is Lord Hanuman. And once they prayed to him, is when they were blessed with a son, and that's how he was named Hanumantaya. Yeah. And then after this, he did his college in Mysuru Maharaja College, and he did his law in Pune Law College. Now, when he was studying law, he fell ill. He was very badly ill. Again, his parents went and prayed to a temple which is located in a place called Kengal, which is in between Ramnagar. Again, this is a small place in between Ramnagar. So now, when they prayed to the deity over there, Kengal Hanumantaya was cured, and that's how the Kengal was added to him. That's how Kengal Hanumantaya was given to him. He was interested into the politics or into the constitution thing was because he actually attended a national congress in Madras in 1927, and it was addressed by our Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. That's how his interest in this field grew. This man was imprisoned for 7 times. Now people asked him that you're being imprisoned always, and don't you the prison food might be very bad. Like, how are you coping with it? Kengel gives a very a simplistic answer, saying that the food which was served in the jail was much more better than the food that I got in the house. So this kind of gives you an idea of the kind of the background that he comes from. And he also took part in the Mysuru Chalo freedom movement. And Kengel, so you can actually see when I told you about how the budget for this entire building went from 33 lakhs to almost 1.80 crores. So there were lots of allegations which was actually put against Kengel. People were like bribery, corruption. So Kengel, because whenever Kengel wanted to build this building, he took an oath on milk saying that I'm going to build this building with integrity and honesty. Now when he saw that people were just putting allegations on him, he opened up an investigation on himself. He was like, I'm going to set out the records for you guys. You guys can come and you can be the judge and see it. Now, when the records were put against, and then when they did all of the investigations, they found out that they did not find anything against him. There was nothing for him. The only mistake that they found against Kengel was that he did not take opinions. They were like, you should have asked. So, he just went forward and did it. So, you could have just asked opinions and you could have just done it in that way. And also, can you believe that Kengel, being the vision of this building, he did not have an office over here. He did not work out of this building. You see, and his last final wish was that inscription, which you see it from outside. Government's work is God's work was actually Kengel Hanumantaya's final wish. So, here we had our then Chief Minister, who was Gundarao. So, Kengel actually had a mild heart attack. So, he went to visit him at the hospital. That's when Gundarao told him that I want to see this final inscription before, it's my final wish. But then again, lots of controversies because people wanted the quote Satyameva Jayate over there. But then after it all, this was finalized and they put it over there for 75,000 Indian rupees. So that's how it was being carved over there. And Kengel was also a person, though him being a chief minister, he used to come on ground. Every morning, 5 in the morning, he used to come to do an inspection check on how people were working. And he used to not come dressed up as a chief minister. He used to come dressed up as like a local person. So it's and these people of the workers over here, they could not recognize that it was Kengel who was there. So, this kind of shows his dedication that he put in order to build this building. Okay, so we heard the side. So on my left over there, so that is where you have the official residency of the MLA and the MLCs.
So whenever there's like an emergency meeting or something, so they usually stay over there so that they have an easier access to come into the building and then they can have hold on meetings. So this is actually the official residence of them. And also over here, or if you notice on this side, there's another inscription what you usually do not see. So over here you can see that it's Dharmavannu Rakshipana Dharma Rakshipudu, which is written in Hale Kannada, not the usual Kannada, but it's written in Hale Kannada. So it's nothing but it's saying that the one who protects Dharma, Dharma protects them. So this is the other kind of inscription you have. And also on this side, you can see more of the architecture. So you can see that this entire building, it's a mix of Indo-Saracenic, which is Indian and Islamic architecture, because domes, you can only see it in Islamic kind of an architecture. And now you can also see this Jaroka style windows over there. So this is from the Rajput style of the architecture, because back in the time, the kings used to stand over there, and from there, the kings could see the public, but the public could not see the people. But now it's two ways. We can see the officers over there, and the office people who are working in the office, they can see us. So, and again, other kind of an architecture, the mix is the Vijayanagar Empire style, the Chola, the Deccani style. So this is, you can see that the entire motive of this building was to make sure that it's a mix of the Indian architecture that has been used. And also this is another place where you have the pillars of democracy. So you have the legislature, which is Vidhan Soudha. You have the judiciary, which is the High Court. You have the executive, because you have the Raj Bhavan, the governor's house. Yes, yeah. Then you have the press, that is over there. You have the press club over there. Can you guess what's the fifth pillar? Media is done. Media is the press. Public, yes, it's public participation. It's you guys. And right now the building is open for you guys. So now after this tour, you're going to be storytellers to people. So this is the kind of the public participation that has been added to the 5 pillars of the democracy. So again, so I told you about how the construction amount was spent. Kengel was really smart. He used 5,000 convicts who were prisoners to construct this building. Yes. So you could see when even if with the jump in the amount, he made sure that to use. So it was very simple. So he told the prisoners that, you will, whoever is being used to build this building, once the building is completed, you are let out. They are given the freedom. So that's how he used 5,000 prisoners and 1,000 artisans. So it was 1,500 artisans. So that's how it is 6,500 people in total who worked for this building. And the entire building is made of granite, locally sourced granite from in and around Bangalore, like from places like Mallasandra, Hesaragatta, Magadi. So they got the granites from there, and that's how the construction was put. So the construction period was for 4 long years. So now our last step is the grand steps, is what we all see it from outside. So now we're going to go to the grand steps. And in that part, there's only one important part, is that you have long pillars. All of these pillars are the Corinthian style of an architecture, but again, it's an Indian mix. So in Corinthian kind of a style of an architecture, you usually have like leaves on the top. But in this kind of an architecture, you have lotus. You have inverted lotus below and you have lotus up on the top. Again, it's the Indian mix of the architecture which is done on the pillars. Had a good time on the tour. So this is where we'll be wrapping it up. So now, just like how I mentioned earlier, so now you guys could be storytellers for Vidhan Soudha. Good. Thank you.